Hello, everyone. Good evening. Today's speaking session, we have a cue card question for the day. Lovepreet, you would wish to speak?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, dear.
Over 7 billion people lives in this world. Everyone faces a lot of problems in their life. As we know that life is not a bed of roses. It's a mixture of joys and sorrows. Only a few people can solve their problems in such a way that they are without panicking. Here I have decided to talk about such a friend who solves always problems of other people. Her name is Sandeep Kaur. She is my best friend. I remember when I was in 10th standard, our school organized a competition of art later, and our class in charge selected my friend Sandeep as well as me, and we have to make a painting. We were very nervous because we know that we have to compete with our senior, which was not easy as pie. After that, on the day of competition, I suddenly dropped the liquid on the sheets, and there were no other sheets for painting. I was very disappointed and felt down in the dumps. At that time, my friend Sandeep came up with a clever idea that she painted all the sheets with black color, and she told me to paint the landscapes of the night time. Then I drew the landscapes as well as moonlight, mountains, and that painting was very eye catching. When our judges and teachers saw that painting, they all were very impressive. After all the mess in the starting, we got first position in that competitions. So at that time, we killed two birds with a single stones, because my friend solved that problem in a smart way, as well as we got our prize. Moreover, we celebrated that time with our friends as well as family members. I thanked to my friend, because if she was not there, we would never get that prize. So it was a situation when I had a problem and my friend solved that.
Thank you, dear. When it comes to evaluation process, I think we need to work on certain tense form, dear. It is probably subconscious when you're using the words like know. I know instead of I knew, because you're talking about a past experience of yours. So, and we will have to, work a bit on the pronunciation part as well. So you use the word impressive. Impressive is a different verb form. So impressed, they were all impressed was the word we were supposed to use. So yes, you have been using, certain lexical resource which is related to the content or the story. So let's continue to use some more better words here. So yes, you have been using connectors too. So we shall continue. This word called as so is used when you talk about result or consequences of an action, dear. So
Okay,
when we
ma'am.
use this word so, we will complete the sentence. That's all.
Well, in this modern era, everyone is well equipped with various technical gadgets and electrical appliances. However, sometimes these gadgets may be fail to work smoothly, and without technicians, it is difficult for people to use these gadgets again. Actually, I have two computers. One is a desktop and other is a laptop. Last year, I was having a trouble with my laptop as it was unable to work because it has a problem related to battery backup. It was Mr. Simpson who gave me a smart solution to my problem. In fact, without his great advice, I wouldn't have been able to use my laptop again. Mr. Simpson is my neighbor, and he works in an IT he works as an IT professional in a multinational company. Uh, I I have a good relationship with him, and whenever I have problem related to my technical gadgets, I usually share my problems with him, as he always gave me very precious advice, and the advices of Mr. Simpson always prove to be good for me. He advised me to download some software which to retain the laptop. Without his precious advice, I wouldn't have been able to use my laptop again, as I was planning to purchase my new laptop. If he wouldn't give me advice, then within a few days I would have purchased my new one. Mr. Simpson advice is proved to be good for me, as it is not only cost effective. Apart from this, it is also.
What happened? The end was abrupt.
Yeah,
You were going
ma'am. I
good. It
think.
was a good flow, but then, all right. So first thing what we need to, there are some areas, dear. First of all, let's stop repeating words. Problems a lot of time, precious time, suggested, advice. Those were the words that we repeated several times. We will be marked
Okay,
down
ma'am.
even when your content will be good, dear. So let's work on it. Let's have similar words
Yes.
used instead. Instead of using the person's name multiple times, we could be using a pronoun, he, instead. And dear,
Okay,
let me
ma'am.
ask you this question. When I have the, let's take an example. If the person's name is Barack Obama, where do I use the title Mr.? How do I use the title Mr. and, address him?
Okay, ma'am. You can say like that, Mr. Simpson. It was Mr. Simpson or Mr. Simpson.
What is the Mr. is a title which needs to be used with last name only. Okay. I don't know what that person's name is, but this
Okay,
is a
okay,
rule
okay.
of that.
Surname, you can say surname. Yeah,
Exactly.
Mr.
So
Obama, like that. Not Mr. Barack Obama. It's Mr. Obama.
correct, yeah. So, and whenever we are supposed to
Thank you.
use a person's name repeatedly, let's use pronouns instead. And we
Yeah,
need to take
he.
a little grammar components here and there. All right?
Okay, ma'am.
All right, dear.
There are several circumstances that I seek advice from acquaintances and the elderly anytime I encounter any problem in life. Today I would like to talk about the time that I had unemployment issues and I consulted a bosom friend of mine for advice. This happened a couple of years ago when I graduated from the university after pursuing degree in clinical nutrition and dietitian. I was finding it difficult to gain employment in various health institutions. In fact, I wrote several applications but was to no avail. And I was really troubled about this issue because I was solely dependent on my parents and all my childhood friends and my mates were making it in life. They were working to earn salary at the end of every month. So I decided to seek the help from this friend of mine who is called Jessica. In fact, she told me that I should start some catering services on my own to establish a business by myself since I had idea in catering or nutrition. I was feeling reluctant to pay into it because I felt I had to work in the office, I have to work in the hospital, but she was able to convince me and I decided to go by her decision. So she gave me a cap. So
Yes, yes, please.
I was feeling reluctant to pay heed to her advice, but she was able to convince me and even gave me a capital to start with. So I started my own catering service by preparing some pastries with yogurt and some soft drinks. At the end of the day, because of how palatable my pastries were and yummy they were, I was able to gain popularity in my society and my business was booming. So now, although I'm working as a professional nutritionist in one of the hospitals in my country. I do this work as a side job, which also helped me to earn money. In fact, my friend's advice has really helped me because at the end of the day, if not because of her help or her decision that she made for me, I couldn't have been able to establish something on my own to help me to live on my own without depending on others. Thank you.
Well, cleverness is something that one must have to deal with difficult situations in life. Though I am not that cunning, but I feel lucky to have few clever friends who always make difficult things easy for me. Here I would like to talk about Rida, my best friend from school days, who always have clever solutions to my problems. Actually, I had to attend a reunion party last year, and I was really excited about it. However, I got a little disappointed to read the invitation as it was a theme party, which means I had to dress up according to the theme. Every guest had to dress up like a star so to attend the party. Since I didn't have a suitable dress to wear, I had to buy one. I checked out multiple stores, but I couldn't find anything that fits into my pocket. The dress that I especially liked was of a James Bond, but the price was too high. At this point, I got upset and I was literally crying because I couldn't attend the party to meet my friends. Fortunately, my clever friend Rida visited my place in the evening and I discussed my problem with her. So to hear my problem, she rather started laughing and said the problem could be solved within seconds. She took me to a fashion store where one can rent some of the most elegant dresses, and I never knew about it. I found the same dress at the store which I wanted to wear, and rather than buying it, I could for a day because of my friend, because she has solved my problem. Thank you.
All right, dear. Thank you so much. A drastic improvement, I would say. Probably you have,
Yes.
worked on this consciously. Some words that you have
Okay.
taken, I think you should, probably have some words modulation because it is sounding like I know you have probably prepared, consciously. Yes,
Yes.
you have put in an
Yes.
if effort as well, which is, noticeable for that matter. So we have some voice modulation when we are explaining. I was really excited when this idea was actually revealed to me. Oh yes, this could also be a possibility kind. So we will have a bit of voice modulation when we're expressing, probably
Okay.
it might be a
Yes.
negative or a positive ends, in fact. So apart from that, the
Okay.
word since, which was used as a connector, in, that we will
Okay.
understand when do we use.
Okay.
So
Thank
thank
you,
you so
ma'am.
much for. All right, when it comes to part two of speaking, as we've discussed in the previous sessions, that it is important that you start with mind mapping so that you have good amount of content and make sure you have prepared well for the same. Use that given 1 minute's time effectively and please. Oh, yes. And during your speaking session, there is a provision that you could have a look at the, scratch paper which has been given to you. However, please do not pause in between while you have a look at it. All right. Today's tip for the day. Before you start giving us, details when it comes to cue card, now there is a rule. Rather, there is one of the parameters when it comes to speaking where you're supposed to use certain amount of conjunctions and certain type of a sentence structure. Now, when you look at the parameters page, it clearly says please use complex sentences. Now, what are these complex sentences? I'm going to be sharing notes with you today how you need to construct a grammatically right complex sentence. You need to have one of the conjunctions like however, although, even though. Now, we all have been using these words. Now, when I use a very simple word, because for every other reason that I give, now where do I need to use this word? Should I use it in the beginning of a sentence? Can I start a sentence with the word because? Or should I use it in between or at the end? So we need to know the word order as well when we make sentences using a certain word. Because, however, although are conjunctions, sorry, and these words need to be used or can be used before, that is beginning, and in between as well. There are certain rules that we need to. Now let us go ahead. When we are speaking, it is important that you, especially when it comes to part two, because you have a provision to speak for 2 long minutes, please use certain sequence connectors, like when you talk about, a day's action for that matter, like you're talking about a trip that you had recently been to. You start explaining the same in sequence. First of all, secondly, next, later, After which you start explaining the same in sequence using these words. If you ask me, is it mandatory to use these sequence? Yes, it is indeed, because that will add to your score. First thing. Next one, use these conjunctions. I will tell you how to make grammatically right sentences using the same. Now, when I have a simple sentence like Joe was playing, okay, and there is another sentence like the cat was jumping, I have two simple sentences now. So I should not be using these simple sentences when it comes to IELTS. My scores would not look attractive. There is a parameter while in between and change the entire sentence structure of mine. So that is how I'm going to be effectively presenting my sentence. Of course, it would take a little time and good amount of practice for you to get used to these type of sentences. However, when you add this, it is going to add on to your score. So please use collocations as well. To sum it up, use collocation, use sequence connectors and conjunctions. If you have any questions, please do ask me.
Ma'am, even though the structure of even though like that, for example, for this cue card like that, even though I know numerous people who have an ocean of knowledge and possesses great idea and thoughts, today I take this opportunity to talk about a person who helped me and gave me a solution to solve my problem. Is it right, ma'am? Sentence, even though structure is
Yes, yes. Of course, it is absolutely right. It is the right
okay.
usage, dear. That is going to be marked down. We are going to be marked down as well for that, repetition of the question statement or words that we pick from the same.
The question I would like to ask is,
Hmm.
you always talk about repetition of question. Is it something like what what she does, and you start by saying she did so so and so so by? Is it what you mean by us repeating the question?
See, when I talk about repeating, see, we don't mind you repeating the question statement unless you are using it with different word choice and you modify the sentence structure or you're rather
Okay,
paraphrasing. If you're paraphrasing,
okay,
it is absolutely all right here. But let's
okay,
not
ma.
use the same. See, when I ask you what's your favorite color, you start with my favorite color is. That is what is not acceptable when it comes to IELTS, dear.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma.